Hey guys, how is everybody? I hope you're well. Um, Got a saw here, belongs to Justin Weaver. Most of you know who he is. This was built by Josh over at JK Saw Shop. If you're wondering why it's here, I live a whole lot closer to Justin than Josh does, and we were able to meet and pick up a few saws just to do, some simple maintenance and repairs on them. We do have an 026 of his that's going to be a full build here on the channel, though, so you can look forward to that. But this saw here, to my understanding, got a gas leak. Said it's coming from under the carb box. Today, all we're probably going to do is diagnose it. If it's a tank vent or something, I probably have one here. I'm just going to have to dig around and look. If not, we may end up having to pick one up. But that's kind of where we're at and what we're going to do. This thing has one of the big bore kits on it, 100cc. It got some monstrous compression. I think he might have used a pop-up kit in it, I'm not sure, but I've not run it or put it in a piece of wood. He told me to feel free to do so, when we get this fuel leak fixed on it, we'll have to give her a try and see how she performs. We're gonna get this air filter off and top cover off, and we'll go from there. Alright guys, had some malfunctions there, you'll have to forgive me, but handle's pretty simple to take off. You gotta undo your cable, of course. It's easier to undo the rear of the carburetor, the bolts that bolts it down to the AV mount. They're the stoppers for the air filter holder, I guess, rather, but get your cable loose, fuel line loose. This saw actually had some AV bushings, at least one missing. I'll see if I can find one to go back in it. It's one of the rear ones, probably just fell out. But other than that, everything else was fine. But what I found was, trying to find what's left of it, tank vent had came apart on it, and it had some Tygon line in it. I guess over time it had swelled a little, and it's leaking pretty good by both places. But I should have some good fuel line here, and I've got an OEM tank vent that I just pulled out of another old busted up tank that looks to be in A-OK shape. We'll get that in it, get a fuel line in it, and get it back together. It really wasn't no how-to, so don't get mad at me over that. It was mainly getting it down to where we could diagnose the problem and get this man's saw back in production. Alright guys, we got him a new fuel line in that fits good and snug. We've got the OEM tank vent back in, the breather tube on it that goes up into the carb tray. Technically, I don't guess you would have to have that. I've seen some with it, some without it. This depends on the year of the saw, but this particular tank vent had the elbow, and this carb tray on this saw has the hole for it, so we'll run it up into there. What I'm going to do next is get the saw back together, and we'll show you how it turns out, but we shouldn't have any fuel leaks at all now. Well, alrighty guys, I've had it on its side forever, which it held tank pressure good. The saw's actually running richer than it was now, which leads me to think that when it was tuned last, it didn't have adequate tank pressure. And believe it or not, on these two-strokes, even the older saws, that tank has to be sealed up tight. There is a point where it pops off like around 5 to 7 psi, and that's where your tank vent comes in. But they have to be sealed off. It wasn't nothing anyone had done wrong. It was just, you know, time had took its toll on it. The fuel line had swelled. It went to leaking past it. Also the tank vent, it had seen better days. It fell apart. It was leaking in both places, so when he had it up on its side, fell in a tree, it was pouring fuel everywhere, and as you can see, we have no leaks whatsoever. But let me fire this thing up for you guys, and take note, it is running a little rich right now, but we will get it out in a day or two and run it. It is dark now. I'd put it together, and that daggone cable had slipped out of the handle. It's easy to do, and I had to take a bunch of stuff back off of it to get the body of the saw up high enough to get in there and work that daggone cable for the trigger back in there. It's kind of a pet peeve on me with Husky anyway. Some of the newer steels have it on them. If you've been into like a MS 441, those saws are a pure pain in the ass to get the cable hooked up on, but another story for another day. But fire this beast up. I've not had it in a piece of wood, but I've been told it is a torque monster by several people, and it's got plenty of compression, plenty. Turn the saw on and they'll start. Yeah, we'll be sure to bury that one on a big piece of hickory. Like I said, he sent his bar and chain that he files timber with. I've got one more thing left to do. He sent another felon spike, which is still laying in the door of my wife's new vehicle. I need to get that out and put it on it. This one's bent. And when I pulled it down, it was missing this bolt and this bushing. I'm sure it had just fell out. If you've had like 350s or like a 346 or something apart, same kind of deal. But what I done, someone will laugh, but that is actually the end. I don't have one of those bolts here, but it's only got threads so far up and then like a little thin tip that sticks down to go into the bushing. But what that is the end off of an old piece of steel fuel line, the big fat end that goes on the car. But I've done that on a many of them, works just fine. But like I said, that's probably just vibrated and fell out of it over time. But pretty good looking old saw. I wouldn't care a bit on that thing. Anxious to get it in a piece of wood, but like I said, it's dark. But Justin, buddy, your fuel leak is gone. But with that said, I'll try to get some video put together for you guys. As always, everybody stay safe with what you're doing, and have a great day.